Hello, this is Tess. We call her Tess. Her full name is Full Tesla. Anyway, I've been doing her for several months, and when I got her, she was separate, had been separating parts of her body. In effect, breaking at the pole, haunches separated from the lower back and back, forehand separate from behind engagement, and the neck was like an overdone fettuccine noodle. In the past few months, I've been systematically starting with the haunches, through the back, and through her neck and head to my hand, joining her outside hind to meet up with my hand. You'll see in several places here as I warm her up that we start a little on the muscle because she's fresh out of the barn, and I hold my hands up for her to come through to the bridle, basically so we don't lose the connection with the haunches. As we are bringing ourselves to one piece and learn how to bend through the rib and not the neck, you'll see me open my hand. Like, for instance, I'm going to the left here, and the right hind was the weaker hind, so I'm helping her not use her neck to bend around her inside shoulder. I open my hand so she can help herself to bending through the rib. And now we're canter-cantering. So as we canter-canter, that also helps the horse join with that outside hind leg, in this case being the right hind. It's really, really important, no matter what you're going to be doing in the final analysis. I don't care if it's a racehorse or if it's a show horse, dressage, jumper, whatever, to be connected with the hind legs. That's really what you're talking to. And as you do so, you want to make that connection so that they're one arm. And then as they understand the connection and they can stay self-balanced with whatever canter, trot, walk, then you work on your bending. For this mare, she was misbending, and now we're starting to really go as a unit. You'll see her still use her head and neck and go above the vertical, thank God, and not behind, because that's what she tended to do all the time. But now she's moving underneath herself, and now we're working on her flying changes. Before, it wasn't coming through skipping from behind. As you can see, we're going to be doing a flying change here, but she's going to skip through the air, not from the front end to the back end. So she steps right, and through the air she stepped and skipped to her left. Now, as you can see, I had to remove her head and neck to keep her square in her haunches. This is several weeks ago, and just last week she started not having to have the removing her head and neck out of the way to keep her spine horizontal to the ground and her haunches and her hind legs straight like a tabletop. I see so many people today, and they're so interested in being supposedly on the bet, that the horse's haunches are in Hong Kong and the front end's in New York. The physics of it. And that's why they have cross-cantering. That's why they don't have substantial changes. And in the end, that's why the horse isn't straight and coming off the hind to your inside hand as a skipping thing, and you're not having to override them. It's a signal, and their self-carriage brings them to the flying change, not manipulating their face and forcing their body. They're actually staying true in the sense that their haunches, as you can see here, one hip is not higher than the other, and she's staying true. Now, in getting towards the upper level or self balance, where I'm not having to help her by keeping her nose as much as I can above the vertical and keeping my weight behind the so I can slow down her steps in the haunches and keep them straight. This all goes to the ultimate end of you can't see it any longer. It's just a movement of your finger, your eye, your weight in the stirrup. Right now, it's showing every over balance to help her keep her haunches engaged, breath over the ground. I'm not manipulating her face to make her turn. I'm just, number one thing, keeping her square and balanced. And that means all 4 feet the same weight. So when I feel her starting to lean on a shoulder or drop a hip or something, you'll see me rearrange my body and rearrange my hands so she has to stay true in the sense of her balance. All the rest comes after that. 95% of a horse's problem when riders start fighting them is they're off balance. So this huge field, 50 acres, which I just love to do with young horses and older horses, gets them away from that small arena sardine can. And the most horrible thing for this mare right now is to put her in a dressage arena. All this movement and scope and suspension would be thus interfered with before her time to go into a small place and keep all this scope and cadence and rhythm. Okay, now I'm going to counter canter, but you can see my hand is helping her balance off that left hind so she can bend and keep her haunches parallel to the ground. See how relaxed her ears are and stuff? I wish I had the first month of getting her to trust me and have her balance and undo her pull. Now she lifts her nose up so she can keep engaged behind. Again, so many people are so into you have to have the picture of on the bit. Unless they have established their balance on their haunches lowering and their back coming up, it's a fake on the bit. Meaning it's just you're cranking their neck and head and the rest of their body is not balanced. On the bit comes when the horse lowers its haunches, rises its back, and has the bascule the same as they should have over a fence over the ground in the walk, trot, and canter. So as I do this turn, I'm turning her straight through the turn.